Hi there everybody, thank you for joining for video 2 in the Clay Play series. Last week was the judge and this is how the figure turned out for me. As you can see, there's a little bit going on here. He's got a gouged out heart and lots of other cuts and slash marks and gouges throughout the figure, which to me signify damage. And you know, this deep damage too, this exhaustion, this fatigue, and without heart, like that heart being gouged out, to me means that there's a lack of compassion and grace in there. So when I was reflecting on the judge and working out, okay, what do I do about it? You know, I've done the model. How else do I address this character in my head? And there's 4 questions or 4 steps to this process of addressing and recognizing the inner judge. For me, definitely, this judge is more about self-judgment and I suppose fear of judgment from other people rather than it being about me judging others going out. So it's about this input coming in and exhausting me, basically. So when do I experience the judge? For me, and this goes back to being in primary school, I experienced the judge with bullies. So I feel this pressure and responsibility to take action and to fix and control. This judge kind of comes into play, funnily enough, I didn't realize, with the Perfectionist, which was my second character that I was modeling. So I'm going to sort of talk about them both in tandem because they're really tied strongly together. The Perfectionist is wrapped around my self-worth and value, and the judge is around that voice that tells me what I should do to be validated by others and be worthy, essentially. So when do I experience the judge? When I notice anything unjust and unfair, if there's bullying, that sort of thing, the judge comes into play and I feel like I have to jump in and fix the situation. The second step to addressing and recognizing the inner judge is to notice the energetic effect on your body. So as I was sitting there and I was thinking, okay, when this judge comes up, you know, because it's obviously motivating to want to help someone, but what's the effect on my body? And this is where I realized that things were out of balance, because as I sit and I tune into what's going on sensationally and somatically, I notice that things really do change within. For those of you who don't fully understand somatics and dance movement therapy and the terms, I don't blame you. It's very confusing at start. Keep an eye out. I will put a video up of an introduction into somatics and movement, which will hopefully give you insight into what it is that I offer here at Mana Therapy, and also to help you practically start implementing it in your life too. Okay, so noticing that energetic effect on the body. As I'm sitting and I start thinking about judging, my heart starts to beat a little bit faster. I'm feeling tense, feeling this responsibility on my shoulders. Agitated, you know, why me? Why do I have to jump in and fix? Why can't life just be just? So I'm annoyed. You know, my face, it's becoming more tense. My head's starting to hurt. And I'm just coming forward, as you can see, you know, this pressure. I have to do something. I have to fix this. There's so much responsibility on me to fix. So the third step, after identifying this energetic effect, this somatic effect, is to identify my emotional reaction I'm tired. I want to avoid. I feel hopeless. Like, I can't fix everything. Anger, annoyance, guilt for times when I haven't fixed things or made things just for people. So feeling these emotions, I can really see why my judge is tired, because there's so much responsibility that I'm placing to fix in order to be seen as worthy, which is where that perfectionist comes in. And then the fourth step is pinpoint how it makes me feel. And that is, I just want to give up. And then pinpoint the belief that this feeling connects to. And this is where I realize the perfectionist comes in, is the belief is that if there's something wrong, I'm failing if I'm not jumping in to fix it, and it's my place to make sure that people are safe and getting along. So as I say it, I'm thinking, well, it's not my place, right? I can't control what goes on for people. But I feel this sense of responsibility. Now, to explain a little bit about this, is that this is a belief that I would have developed when I was younger, based on experiences that I've had. And what happens is it becomes then a mechanism for surviving and living my life. A coping mechanism, if you will. I'm still feeling heavy in my chest. So I'm just gonna open, right? And by physically opening, by physically opening and expanding, I'm also wanting that to open up my mental capacity, because it's quite heavy to have all this responsibility on myself, right? And as much as I can tell myself that I'm not in control, I can only control my own life, this, that, and the other, whatever people's choices are is up to them, I still feel, and I think this is where the heart gets gouged out, is that I'm still feeling like it's my responsibility. So, it has become a coping mechanism that's not healthy. And this is totally natural. We all develop these mechanisms that help us survive and thrive in life until they no longer do, and we need to change them. And as I said before, this judge of mine is damaged and exhausted because I've been overusing it and unrightfully feeling like I need to jump in and fix. And for me, this links directly to the perfectionist, because the perfectionist tells me that if I don't do things just right, I'm not worthy and I'm not of value to other people. So I have to make sure that I'm changing myself in order to fit other people. So for so long, in different parts of my times of my life, I've been racing around changing myself and adapting for other people's benefit. And yes, we do need to be flexible. However, I've been placing so much self-worth in other people to belong and have that sense of belonging that it hasn't been found in me. I haven't been content and found true value and worth in just being myself. So for the judge, he was quite easy to just put aside, right? In fact, as I talked to this character, he was really looking forward to just having a break and not having to put in all of these structures to make sure that I was living up to some standards. The tricky one was the perfectionist, because that deeply seats in my sense of belonging, which is a primal and instinctual sense that we all have, that we need to belong for safety. So if you look at predator and prey animals, the prey animals, and even predators, they all mostly stick in a pack to protect and provide safety in numbers. As humans, we also fall in this line of of needing that belonging, to be connected, to be able to thrive. We do need people, we need connection. Where I've become unbalanced is that I've placed my value in others, right? So what happens then is, if I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing by people, I feel like I'm not good enough. And this stimulates this fear in me, which heightens my sympathetic nervous system, which is our stress response nervous system. It heightens it, and I start thinking, right, what do I need to change? What do I need to do to make myself look good and feel good so that other people will validate me and I feel like I belong and I'm safe? Now, as an adult thinking about it and going through my training, I can cognitively tell myself, you don't need other people's approval. But there's something deep inside that says I do, and this stems back to, probably for me, to childhood, and most issues that we have, they will stem back to a time in our life where something's happened. And the key thing here is, how do we go back and heal that so that we can move forward in a wholesome way, right? That served a purpose at one stage in our life, and so we can be thankful for that. However, when it no longer serves us, what do we need to do to be able to sort of break that cycle and then move into the next one, perhaps taking some things from the past that we can learn from and still use, but it's going to be in a healthier way for where we currently are. So just going back to that sympathetic nervous system being heightened out of fear of not belonging, what this results in is my emotions becoming in overdrive and heightening up and becoming just out of control in a way. So Dr. Daniel Siegel, I really encourage you to have a look at some of his videos. He gives a great visual to understand this process of the sympathetic nervous system and the emotions going into overdrive. And it's basically just using your hand and your arm. And it talks about how we have our spinal cord and our brain stem and our limbic system, our limbic system is our ancient brain. It's the oldest part of the brain, and it's responsible for the emotional processing and regulation of arousal and emotions, particularly in response to stress. So when we're stressed, it triggers our sympathetic nervous system, and when we're in a place of rest, it's our parasympathetic nervous system, where we're calm, we're regulated, we can evaluate things nice and calmly, register them, think about them. But when we're stressed and we're hyper, we're just reacting to the situation. We're not responding. We're not taking things in and evaluating. We're just reacting in order to keep safe. So if we look here, if our thumb places in the middle as the amygdala is the emotional regulation system. And then we have our cortex, which is the high part of the brain, allowing us to perceive and articulate what's going on. So our thinking and reasoning. And then of course our prefrontal cortex, which is our logic as well. So generally, parasympathetic state, we're nice and relaxed, we're resting, nervous system's okay, our brain just carries on. Stimuli comes in, we can make sense of it. Yes, we might feel an emotional reaction to some things, but our frontal cortex can give us the reasoning and logic, and okay, we can carry on. An example of this might be that, when you're watching a movie, if something scary happens or something sudden happens, you're going to get a jolt. So the sympathetic nervous system is going to go, right, what's the stress factor here? But your prefrontal cortex goes, no, you're right, it's just the movie, it's not actually happening in real life. We calm, all right, carry on kind of thing. What happens though is when we perceive, or when there's a real threat to our safety or our identity, is that this frontal cortex can flip. So flipping the lid, and our amygdala, our emotion center, becomes really heightened, and it's sending off those alarm bells. Something is going really, really wrong. So in this sense, we can't think. So particularly for me with the perfectionism, if my value and worth is wrapped up in other people, if I don't feel like I'm doing something to get their value, their validation, then I'm going to be like, right, I'm all hyped up. Okay, my sympathetic nervous system, my stress response, my heart's beating a bit faster, I'm becoming more tense, my mind's racing. What have I got to do to please this person? I've got to change myself in this way. I've got to say this. And this happens subconsciously. I'm not always aware that it's going on. And something that I realized is that part of my reason for procrastinating with things is not because I'm not motivated. It's because I'm scared that people aren't going to approve of the content that I'm giving, or whether it's an assignment or even these videos, what I'm about to say, how I choose to live my life. People aren't going to approve. Therefore, I'm not going to feel like I belong with them, and I'm going to feel like I'm alone. So that's essentially the path that my system goes. Okay, we have to do whatever we can to fit in, right? We're just feeling these emotions, we're going to be left out, and if we're left out, eventually we're just going to die because we're going to be alone. It escalates to that. It's totally normal. There's nothing to feel ashamed about that. It's not healthy though. So, in realizing this, is that I've been avoiding the perfectionist out of, I suppose, fear, and also having to, change, because it is quite scary to think that I'm going to turn off all the voices from everyone else and from the judgment in my head towards myself, and I'm just going to be me. And this is a bit foreign because I've become so used to meeting these standards for myself and for others. So it's scary, right, to try something different and new. But I know that it will be beneficial. So if my sympathetic nervous system is heightened, I can calm it down. I can breathe. I say, hey, yep, maybe at one point in your life you didn't belong and you got teased because you didn't fit in. That's not right now. Right now, you don't need to rely on other people to give you value. You are worthy just as you are. And so I start calming, breathing, allowing that parasympathetic nervous system to come back in, to give resting peace to me. You can only control who you are, and in that you'll find peace. In self-control there is peace, because you're not worried about, it's impossible to meet everyone's expectations, whether they're real or perceived. And so I can come down, and as I'm calming, I'm feeling the tension go away, and I'm just going to push some of this tension out, right? Because it is still there, and I tend to feel it in my chest area and in my shoulders. So I'm just going to relax my body and say, yeah, it is okay. And then as I do this, I am feeling calmer. And I just remind myself, I am worthy as I am. Each person's made individually. For me, I believe in God, and I believe that He made me just as I am. No one is perfect on this earth. But I was made uniquely, and changing myself for other people is not honoring my unique identity, right? So this perfectionist that I was scared of, and that's had this big gouge out of it, is this value and worth. And I'm just realizing this now, that's been in someone else instead of in myself. And so if I close this over, it's a bit crumbly because it's a bit dry. If I close this gouged trench over, and I just remember, hey, I'm worthy for just being me. Not everyone's going to understand me. I don't even understand me sometimes. But I just find my value and worth in the fact that my God created me to be me. And I'm going to be true to myself, no matter if people understand or not. I'll be true to how I was created. And as I cover that, I actually felt, as I was covering this trench, that kind of these gates were closing in front of my chest. As a visual for you guys. This healing of, hey, yeah. Instead of being open for value from others to come in, I'm just worthy and valued as I am. And it is hard because there is so much input from external that this is something that, I've got to do often. It's not just I'm going to do it now and then I'll be fine for the rest of the week. But what I can do is I can keep reminding myself. Control only my responses to situations. Become at peace with who I am. Remember that everyone's interpretation of what I do or who I am is up to them, and it's based on their experience. And I'm telling myself this logically, but also I'm feeling it. I'm just me. I'm me. And I've been made uniquely, and just as I don't judge others, I don't need to be imagining their judgment or taking on their judgment. It's okay for people not to understand. And this perfectionist, as I smooth it out, it just is. And as I sit here visually, it's kind of like where the amygdala would sit, I suppose. And it fits comfortably there. And it can just be calm. There's no right or wrong. Like, what even is this? But there's nothing right or wrong about it. It just is. And I just am me. So it's taught me, when there's that fear, is I can place it back at the foot of the cross. And to me, so for me, placing it at the foot of the cross means I'm just saying it's not up to me to control and to freak out. I've got someone higher than myself who cares for me and who always will care for me. And this is where that mind-body-soul connection comes in to bring me peace. And I will do, another series about mind, body, soul as I go along with this channel. So my encouragement to you is that if you feel that judge character, the perfectionist character, if you have other characters that you'd like me to talk about or model, if you feel them, please don't be intimidated by them. Become curious. Cognitively notice when you experience them. Someone's been getting dirty. Sit. Good boy. Now you stay back. Cognitively notice when you experience them, the characters. Notice the energetic effect they have on your body. Identify the emotional impact they have, the emotional reaction you get. And then pinpoint the belief behind them. Please don't be scared of them. Get some clay, get some Play-Doh, get whatever it is to get them out of your head. They won't be as scary if you look at it with a curious mind of understanding yourself. They're part of you. And once you're aware of them, like what I've found is when I became aware of them, the perfectionist was hard. That took me a long time to get the courage even to do this video, because it's like, what if I do it wrong? What if people judge it? What if they don't understand? what if, oh, I'm just going to give up and not do it because I can't handle the negativity that might come, right? But I don't have to be scared because I'm just speaking my truth from my heart. And it's my truth. And if people understand it, that's a bonus. And if they don't, that's all right. Because we're all different. So my encouragement to you is to be curious. Reach out. I always have a non-judgmental, open, empathetic listening ear ready. So please do reach out if you need it to anyone. And especially reach out to yourself. Do some exploring. What characters do you have going on for you? I've got many more than just these two. And it's great to have them out, right? Because I can just play with them. And they become just something that are malleable. Same as inside of me. They're just malleable. They're here for a little bit. They serve a purpose. Then they don't serve a purpose. And then I need something else. And we're constantly fluid, shifting, malleable, changing. As you go ahead after this video, I encourage you to please leave comments and feedback. These videos are for you as much as it's me sharing content. I really want them to be beneficial for your life and wherever you're at in your identity and in your journey through this crazy life. So please, let me know what kind of videos you want to see. And if you need help, please do reach out. You are not in this. You're not in this alone. You are unique. I'm unique. My perfectionist and my judge can just have a little holiday. And I'm going to enjoy that, especially in this nature. Free from judgment and criticism. I can just be like Seb over here. I encourage you to connect somehow with yourself. Please do enjoy your day. And remember, life is alright. It's hard, it's tough, but at the end of the day, there are ways that we can enjoy it, we can learn, we can explore, we can heal, and we can grow. You're unique. I'm unique. We're all in this weird, wacky life together, worthy and valued just as we are.